As an influencer, you are running an influencer business, meaning you have to treat your business with the same respect that you would treat any other job. And that also includes making sure you are setting and accomplishing goals. But how do you do that as an influencer effectively to save yourself time and effort and energy and make sure you're getting things done appropriately for your business? Today, we're talking with professional influencer Austen Tosone, and she's going to be breaking down how you can be accomplishing your goals in an effective way for you. Let's jump in.
I'm Austin. I'm a New York City based fashion and beauty content creator, and I also create educational resources for influencers.
I've been watching you on social media for a long time, and you've created some really cool things inside of your brand and business. And I know one of the topics you like discussing, and I love hearing about from you, is how you are setting your goals and then accomplishing them within your influencer platform. So let's talk a little bit about first how to set those goals and then how to break them down so that we can accomplish them appropriately.
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons I started setting goals even before I was a full time content creator is because I've always viewed this as a business and something that I've been really interested in growing and expanding and hopefully making my income source, which now I have. And I couldn't do that if I wasn't kind of setting goals and benchmarks for myself and setting also the appropriate check ins. So for me, what I like to do at the top of the year is really dream big, think about what I want to accomplish this year, and then set some year long goals. And year long goals are a little tricky to envision and really like break down unless you set those checkpoints in between and give yourself time to see how things are going, potentially make adjustments, and continue to work towards them. So after I set my yearly goals at the top of the year, and if you're not watching this in January or whatever it is, I would highly encourage you to do this at any point during the year. You do not have to wait for the first of the month or next Monday to do these things, but this is just kind of how I approach it now when I do remember to kind of start things at the beginning. But then from yearly goals, I break it down to quarterly goals, and quarterly goals have honestly been pretty game changing for me. I first started doing quarterly goals actually at my previous full time job where I was working at a tech startup. And that felt like a great amount of time to dive into specific projects, really get things done, and have more than just 30 days to get things up and moving. So, for example, one of my quarterly goals from this previous quarter was to launch my workshop, which is now, sold evergreen on my website. But it's not just as easy as launching a workshop, right? There's so much that goes into it, from brainstorming the concept, creating the slides, trying to do a test run with someone, marketing it, and then actually all of the technical components that go into setting it up. So that is something that I knew I couldn't get done in a month, but was a quarterly goal. And then I break those quarterly goals down into monthly goals. So maybe again, for that example of creating a workshop, maybe the first month is to get all of the slides done and get all of the information ready to go. Then the next month is focused on how do I get this set up on my website? How do I collect payments? All of those types of things. And then the last month is marketing the workshop and then actually making it go live. So that is kind of how I like to set my goals. I think that, it gives you enough time to still have a big picture, but it helps break it down to set milestones along the way where you can check in and say, I'm a little behind here. Why am I behind? Is it because I haven't been wanting to focus on it? Is it because something else came up? And just assessing your progress, because setting that yearly goal is great. But if you don't have any systems in place to make sure that you actually achieve it, then you might find yourself feeling disappointed.
Now, I'm one of those people that when I'm setting those goals and I'm figuring out what I'm going to be doing inside of my business, I like to start at the end point and work my way back. I love reverse engineering things so that I've got that big overall goal and then I can break it down into smaller, more achievable steps. Is that what you do, or do you kind of start from the opposite side and work your way up?
I think it depends on the goal. I think that one thing I did at the top of the year was I set a revenue goal for myself, because since this is my first calendar year as a full time content creator, I wanted to kind of just have an understanding of what I wanted to achieve in terms of my overall salary. So, one thing to know about that is, of course, my income will vary from month to month. And it's also part of understanding the business of a content creator, where in the past I've made usually around 50% of my total revenue from brand deals. But a lot of those brand deals tend to happen in the fourth quarter of the year. So when I checked in at the halfway point of 2022 and saw that I was behind on my revenue target for brand deals, I didn't freak out because I know that having done this for years, that the majority of the income from brand deals will appear in the fourth quarter. And that's just something I understand and know about the seasonality of this business now. So, in that sense, of course, you can't guarantee that you're going to get to that number that you set, but it helps you along the way say, am I behind on my affiliate revenue? Am I where I want to be in terms of consulting? Did I learn halfway through this year that I hate consulting and now I need to put that revenue stream aside and focus on workshops and group coaching and things like that? So, in that sense, setting that number and then identifying how you're going to work backwards is great. And one of the ways that like bloggers, content creators, and influencers can also earn consistent income is through passive revenue streams like YouTube ad revenue, blog revenue, affiliates. So if you have any income stream that you see as consistent, you can use that to predict where you're going to land at the end of the year and then work backwards to kind of figure out how else am I actually going to get there.
And I think it's really important to point out that as you are creating these goals and you're kind of scheduling this into your calendar, things may not go exactly as planned. And you may have to pivot a little bit. You might have to adjust a little bit, but you can't always do that if you're so incredibly structured that there is no wiggle room inside of what you're doing. So, what do we need to know about making sure we're planning in time for unforeseen things?
Yeah, I think one big thing that I've learned over the years is I've set these goals, and originally I would wake up and spend every day trying to get closer to these goals. And if that sounds like it's a good idea, but what you don't necessarily remember is just what you need for the day to day operations of your business. So that could be making sure that you're posting every day on TikTok. That could be replying to Instagram DMs. That could be just going through your email inbox and seeing, oh, is there an event next week? I want to go to that. That's good for networking. Like, it might not, every action that you do might not necessarily tie into your goal, and that's okay. I have learned for myself that what works for me is trying to dedicate like 75% of the time that I have to dedicate towards content creation. And so for me, that's full time. For you, if you have 5 hours a week to dedicate to content creation, leave one of them so that you can deal with all of the day-to-day things that you need to deal with and that you have time for potentially unforeseen circumstances. Like if you drop your phone and it stops working, you need to go get a new phone, or a great opportunity pops up that requires you to travel at the last minute and you need to move things around. I think that being able to plan in a little bit of that flexibility is key. And flexibility is still a lesson that I'm learning, not just in my professional life, but in my personal life as well. Just trying to be able to go off plan, to go with the flow, and not completely fall apart when a plan doesn't fully come to fruition.
I agree because we oftentimes come up against things that we did not realize were going to happen, and it will completely derail what we're doing. And being able to then cope and work with that to continue to move forward is incredibly important. So, do you have tips on what to do or how to process it when things kind of blow up around us and we can't take the steps forward that we had anticipated?
I almost just said therapy, which, by the way, I highly recommend. But also just setting up your business so that it's hard as a content creator. I'm the first to admit it, but setting up your business so that you can step away and things won't completely fall apart with you gone. I know for me, I don't have any employees or anything, it's just me, but I am able to still take weekends off, to take PTO when I want to, because I have things in place like YouTube videos that are generating that ad revenue. Like I said, I have YouTube videos that point towards my digital products so that I can make sales on those products without having to hop on my Instagram stories every single day and be like, hey guys, this is me for the 800th time talking about my invoice template. Like, no one wants to hear that on my Instagram stories. They want to see on my Instagram stories that I am getting a morning coffee in my neighborhood, or that I'm having a pool day with a friend or something. And I feel like having to show up and sell on platforms, or show up and be the one thing that is driving your business forward, is just a lot of pressure. So whatever it is for you, whether it's finding an income stream, maybe like affiliates that works well for you, or, doing kind of one big workshop each quarter that brings in a ton of revenue for you that then you can kind of pay yourself out from later on. Just getting strategic about how to keep money coming in without you necessarily having to be parked in front of your computer every day has definitely been a big lesson that I've learned. And it's even changed the way that I set goals. And one of my big goals for the third quarter of 2022 has been to expand my passive revenue streams, which I've done by launching a live workshop, by adding updates to an existing ebook, and by hopefully launching a new digital product at the end of this month. So that is even a new goal that I've set for myself that is all about working towards a larger goal of just giving me more freedom to focus on the creative part of my business, and also to be able to, like I said, take time off when I want to.
And we've got lots of tutorials on how to create passive income, how to do systems and automations inside of your business to make sure that you have the availability to step away when you need to and still survive and make that income inside of your business. Because we know when it comes down to building our business and building a luxurious life that we love, we really have to make sure we're focused on those bigger and smaller goals inside of our businesses and actively taking steps to make sure that that is protected. So when it comes to creating those big and small goals, Austen, what advice do you have in terms of balancing out the big things that we're going to be doing year-long projects and the smaller day-to-day things?
I really feel like the best thing you can also do is, regardless of what goals you set one month, they don't have to be perfect goals. You can set anything, is to then at the end of the month look back and say to yourself, what did I like about this month? What worked about this month for me? And where do I wish I had been able to spend more time? Or what did I not like about how I had a nonstop inbox where I couldn't even think because for some reason so many requests were coming in? Maybe then that is a sign to next month you need to hire a VA to clean up your inbox. They don't even have to be a long-term employee of yours. You could hire them for a 1-month contract and say, I need my inbox organized. Let's go. Or what you were talking about before with like automating your systems and getting all of those things in place. Maybe instead of feeling like you're filming one YouTube video a week and you're having a hard time keeping up with it, you can batch create content, and on YouTube, you can schedule things out. So you can even create 3 videos, schedule them all out on the day that you say you're going to upload, so that you can then take a few weeks off from that platform, focus on other things, or take a break. And so I think that setting goals that you know you can achieve by doing certain actions, like, showing up consistently on TikTok, let's say, thinking about what goals require those input actions versus the output actions, like, oh, I want to get to 50,000 followers on TikTok. You can want to say that, but that might require you going viral. That might require a whole host of components kind of falling into place for that reason. But if you just want to be consistent, you want to show up for your audience and you want to build content, that's a goal you know you can achieve. So I think that setting those eventual milestones, I also like to do that kind of as a year-long goal. Like, I have a goal for 2022 to grow my audience overall to a certain number. And the way that I'm going to achieve that is by posting content, by trying new things, and by posting across a bunch of different platforms this year. So that is something that I know I can control and I know I can do. And I try to estimate the number based on my previous growth, what I think I can do this year, and which platforms I'm prioritizing.
And as we're jumping into creating new goals for our business, it's really important to make sure we are tracking it and we are checking in and we are using tools and resources at our disposal to make sure we're elevating what we're doing and making it easier on ourselves. So, what resources should we be considering when creating these goals?
Oh man, well, I love things like a project organizer. So I've been using Notion and really loving it for several weeks now. Notion is just a place where I can organize weekly to-do lists, yearly goals. I have a project manager on there where I was able to create a spreadsheet when I launched my workshop, for example, to show here are urgent tasks, here's if they are in progress, not started or completed, and here's the date that I'm hoping to get them done by. I feel like having this back end has really helped my business. And there was a day a few months ago where I was feeling a little scatterbrained, and I said, today's goal is to get myself organized on Notion. And setting, putting my goals on hold for that one day to get organized has been completely worth it. And so I think that that's important. Also thinking about like scheduling tools. I personally use Later to schedule content for Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook. I can even do LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok, but I haven't gotten to all of those platforms just yet. But even knowing once I have a piece of content, I can kind of promote it on those different platforms, writing a list down of my system for how I go from creating a reel to then publishing a reel, things like that. I write it down for myself, but I also write it down in the sense that one day if I scale and I hire someone else on to help me, it's all right there for them to see. And that way I don't have to worry about creating resources in the future. I've kind of been creating them all along. And I feel like just having that workflow and understanding what works well for you is so important. If you're not someone who can batch like 6 videos in a day, if you find that exhausting, that's okay. But then you want to just figure out what works for you so you can still be consistent and not feel like you're burning out.
And we've got lots of tutorials on how to make sure you are scheduling things appropriately, how to figure out what you're doing inside of your business to work best for you, and how to make sure that you are doing this from a tech perspective as well. And because we know these tools and resources are incredibly important to keeping ourselves organized and making sure we are attaining those goals, I want to make sure that we are sending people over to you as a resource as well. So where can people connect with you to learn more about how to create those goals effectively?
Yeah, so I have definitely done some blog posts and YouTube videos about this. I do also have my Patreon community, which is a monthly subscription service where I do include goal setting worksheets. And I also do monthly challenges and check ins. I think that a lot of us do this ourselves. And to have that accountability of me just saying, it's the 15th of the month, how's your goals going? Which again is something I can schedule. I don't even need to show up and actually do each month, but you still get the reminder each month. I think that's hugely important. I created that community to, help influencers just kind of stay on top of things, be able to get resources from me and see a behind the scenes look at my business. So that is always an option as well. And of course, I create tons of free resources on my social media platforms. You can follow me and find me everywhere at Austen Tosone.
Hit the subscribe and notification bell for daily videos and weekly live streams to help you level up your influencer business. We're dropping daily videos on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, live streaming, and the tools and resources you need to save time and effort to create your social content so you can make more profit in your business and get back to running your business and living your best life. If you have questions on any of this, we would love to get those answered down below for you. And if you have an influencer professional you would like to see speak on the channel, drop their name down below and we'll see what we can do to get them on for episodes. We want to make sure that you are living your best life as you are creating your influencer business. So any questions you have, we will happily get answered for you down below, and we'll see you in the next episode.